Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is my favorite video game of all time, so imagine my excitement as I'm watching a Nintendo Direct on a random September day in my office at work and see that familiar storybook in beautiful HD. Some of my friends and longtime viewers may remember June of last year, 2023, when I hosted a Thousand Year Door themed party for my birthday. I spared no expense either. Peach's letter invitations, badge bath bomb party favors, cake mix goodie bags, tasty tonic punch, Coggle's hot dog stand, and Chocola Colas, among other things. I have a whole video about that if you're interested. Being that this game is so near and dear to my heart, I was first in line to pick up my physical pre-order on May 23rd. And now having finished the game, and collected all the badges and recipes, and filled out the catalog, and beat the Pit of 100 Trials twice, and beat the 2 new super bosses, I'm confident in saying this remake is a 10 out of 10. Well, with a little asterisk on there. We'll get into it. Oh, and by the way, I'm only marking spoilers for the new bosses and the ending sequence, so please be warned. I'll make sure to give a heads up in the video before discussion of these 2 items. Love y'all, but this game's been out for 20 years, so yeah. Let's talk about what I loved most, as well as some things I wasn't so much a fan of. Hands down, the best thing about the Thousand Year Door remake is the new life that's been breathed into the game. And what I mean by that is not only the gorgeous overhaul of the graphics and scenery and the addition of dynamic music for the new OST, but so much more personality and character has been added to the game. So many more expressions, even for the most minor of NPCs. It's so adorable and endearing. Enemies laugh when Mario and co are smacked by stage hazards. A real hater behavior. I love it. And I am a sucker for emotional scenes, and the touching moments in Thousand Year Door are so much more impactful. Scarlet's letter to Bobbery brought tears to my eyes, and same for even the reunion between Prince Mush and Jolene. It was such a beautiful moment, and so was the ending, and I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll not discuss spoilers until later. I figure now we'll talk about what might be the most polarizing opinion I have about the remake, the music and sound design. Don't get me wrong, I love so many of the new remasters of all the wonderfully memorable tracks in the game and the addition of dynamic music throughout the game. Walking around Rogueport Square for the first time and hearing the music transform as I walked between the shop and inn will forever be etched in my mind as a core memory. Dynamic music is an incredible addition overall. But, you know, I can't help but feel that a good chunk of tracks are a bit of a downgrade. And hey, I'm willing to admit this opinion is 90% formed on my admittedly picky personal taste. I am so not a fan of rock or electric guitar as an instrument in general, and I don't feel it really fits the vibe of Thousand Year Door, especially in comparison to the original music, which I downright worship. Now, until the remake, I didn't even realize the full extent of Asian influence in Glitzville, but I guess it's pretty obvious if you pay attention. That's embarrassing for me, honestly. But Glitzville's and the Glitz Pit's new music was one of the biggest disappointments as far as the new soundtrack for me. It really felt like a copy and paste of the Autumn Mountain tracks from Paper Mario Origami King. I don't know. As a whole, I really do love it, but it does feel more like an amazing tribute album rather than a cohesive soundtrack truly belonging in the game. Listen, the way the battle theme changes with each area to match the environment and vibe of the chapter, amazing. I can't fault the soundtrack too much though, as it remedies the greatest sin of the original game, the puny soundtrack. I'd like to personally thank this remake for sparing my eardrums. Now, not that I have any sort of professional opinion when it comes to sound effects or sound design, but for me, almost all of the new sound effects are a collective downgrade. The HP and FP sounds, downgrade. The Shadow Siren, 3 Shadows and Vivian sounds, downgrade. The Guard and Super Guard sound effects were also much better than the original, as well as pretty much every single enemy's quirky little sound effects too. They've taken away the comical screams when Mario's party bonks a rowdy audience member. So disappointing. I think I especially miss the sound effects from the Shadow Queen battle. Her attacks used to feature this haunting sound that's almost indescribable. I could spend an annoying amount of time just playing side-by-sides of sound effect comparisons, but now is not the time. Don't worry, y'all escape my wrath for today. One brand new sound design feature I do love are the voices added to the text scrolling sounds. These Banjo-Kazooie-esque noises are one of the additions that really helped this remake blossom. I guess to wrap up the thought with a bow on top, Thousand Year Door at its core is wacky and absurd. Back then, the paper aspect of Paper Mario referenced the art style and the fact that the game is an RPG, a story, like the pages or paper in a storybook coming to life, but I digress. Another of the most notable things the remake improved upon was travel. The most notable addition is a central warp pipe room in underground Rogueport that connects directly to Rogueport's main square. You know that tweet that said, like, you ever want to replay a game, but then you remember that part? Well, for me, in regards to Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, I think of the Chapter 4 Twilight Town backtracking and Chapter 7's Wild Goose Chase for General White. This pipe added in the creepy steeple that's basically unmissable leads Mario right back to the unused house in Twilight Town and gets rid of all the headache of the back and forth. The warp pipe room also makes any frustration with chasing down General White null and void. I don't even know what they were thinking with that little quest line. Like, maybe taking the player on a tour back through all the locations they visited throughout their journey? I don't know, but it's annoying as hell. But no longer with the remake. It also fixes those really annoying Trouble Center requests, like the routing slip and Gold Bob delivery quests. I'm sure I'm not alone in preferring to go fast. So I spend a lot of time on the Yoshi. They got rid of that really annoying sound effect, thankfully. But unfortunately, I think that's one of the only positive sound effect changes the game offers to the original, in my opinion. On a tangential topic to travel, the small little changes scattered throughout the game too really communicate an effort to not waste the player's time. The partnering is a lifesaver, and after clearing Chapter 5, riding the XS Express now lets players choose to skip straight to their destination rather than resting all 3 days and being forced to disembark at Riverside Station. The clerk at Pianta Parlor no longer has to hold your Piantas for whatever reason. That kind of seemed pointless to me in the original. And this is a big one. After clearing it the first time, the next trip down into the Pit of 100 Trials lets Mario pay 300 coins to skip straight to level 50. That is awesome. All of these improvements make it even more confusing that the choice was made to make dialogue unskippable in this new game. I'm sure this isn't too big of a deal for players new to the game, but veterans like me, and I'm sure a good chunk of other players too, would like to be able to spam B and skip through walls of text. Now, I'm well aware that because gamers are historically whiny little babies, that there exist a couple small controversies surrounding changes made to the game for the remake. Leading up to its May release, I remember articles surfacing that confirmed the frame rate of Thousand Year Door Remake was 30 FPS as opposed to the GameCube's original 60 FPS. Gamers on Twitter subsequently lost their minds, but again, this is coming from Twitter, a cesspool that rewards rage baiting, so I mean, taking all that with a grain of salt. The timing for guards, super guards, and stylish moves are different. From my experience, the super guard timing seems a little more difficult to execute, while the stylish timing feels a tad easier. I don't know, that's simply my experience, and I've been known to be a little goofball. It doesn't take away from the gameplay at all, unless you're a speedrunner, and that's only going to be a small minority of players. Another thing they completely nerfed is power bounce and multi-bonk. The timing and frames are harder and harder to execute with each successful jump. I've tried using these moves several times, and it's really not worth it for me to have them in my rotation anymore. And then we come to the localization change that set the internet absolutely ablaze. Yes, Vivian is a trans woman, and this was censored in the original North American release from the original script. The remake in general has made an effort to be more faithful to the OG Japanese script as a whole, like changing the attack FX badge to be hooktail back from a cricket sound to a frog sound, the shadow sirens being renamed to the Three Shadows, and among these changes are Vivian being trans. On a more serious note, I want to stress that bigots are not welcome near me or my channel. My channels are a safe space for all and an unsafe space for trolls. So if you're at this point debating about leaving a comment complaining about how Nintendo has gone woke or something, don't waste your breath. In general, the localization has been tweaked to match the times. Goombella no longer calls Miss Mouse a floozy. The scene near the beginning of the game where a group of Goombas catcall Goombella is completely reworked, and the Bob-ombs and Far Outpost are no longer offensively Russian. We're just a little further removed from the Red Scare now. I, for one, welcome the change. Thousand Year Door on Switch comes with a variety of other quality of life improvements, including the ones mentioned earlier. When the audience is about to throw an object at Mario, the camera now pans down for a brief moment. Mario no longer drops coins on a successful runaway, nor do enemies continue to pursue Mario during the invincibility frames after running away. Zesty dishes obtained as rewards for solving troubles or as bonuses from staying at the inns now automatically add the recipe to the player's recipe list, which makes a lot more sense honestly. The Battle Master did not need to be utilized by a pro like me, but it's a great addition for new players to really sink their teeth into the battle system and perfect it in no time. Tattle Checks allows any previously tattled enemy's information to be reviewed at any time during a battle. The coin cap has been raised from 999 coins to 9,999, and thank the gods for that. Although bump attacks still cost badge points, first attack is now free. The shop menus as a whole are much cleaner and easier to navigate. Now this is not an exhaustive list, merely the points I noticed specifically in my playthrough. Because I'm a nerdy little loser, I noticed just a few of the item sprites. The hot sauce point swap, the letter P, Wrestling Magazine, Galley Pot, and Toodle's gold ring have been redone. I don't know why I noticed dumb things like this. I get changing the color of the Galley Pot, it matches the kitchen and everything. The letter P looks so weird to me, like why did they yassify it? Alrighty paisanos, we're officially entering territory for new content spoilers, so consider yourselves warned. I wish more had been added, but we actually did get one more new Zesty recipe, the hottest dog. Just cook up one of Hoggle's hot dogs and a bottle of hot sauce, and voila! This recipe cracks me up, honestly, because it's just a hot dog with the red filter over it. There are now incentives for completing the Tattlelog, obtaining all the badges, and completing all the Zesty recipes, a trophy awarded for each. And once these 3 trophies are obtained, Mario is awarded the gold medal badge. Ooh, shiny. There's a brand new art and sound gallery, which I love. Nothing much really to say about it. It's an incredible way to give fans some new content and further incentivize the collection of star pieces and shine sprites. Now, of course, the 2 new super bosses. One of them is Prince Mush, only fightable in the exhibition match option via the Glitz Pit. After completing Jolene's help wanted request from the Trouble Center, Mario will receive an email from Prince Mush challenging him to a match. And y'all, a challenge this fight was! I can't even begin to describe how ridiculously fun it was to have a brand new challenge in this game after all these years. To even have a hope of defeating Prince Mush, you had better get good at super guards, else you won't stand a chance against his changing battle stances and insanely high defense. I beat him on my second try and was rewarded with bragging rights and Mush's belt. As a child, I always felt horrible smacking the Wacka at Keelhaul Key and avoided it as much as I could. I mean, he's just so cute. But to access the second super boss of this game, Mario must beat the crap out of this little blue creature until it's had enough. 8 times, in fact. Hope you have enough shop storage room for those sweet, sweet Wacka-bumps. Mario must also have defeated Bonetail and received the email titled Ardium Extra Issue. Then, the Wacka can be found at the bottom of the Pit of 100 Trials. Yes, you have to clear it again. Just use a mover. This little son of a bitch packs a punch and poses a unique challenge in that every hit causes Wacka to drop a Wacka-bump. which he'll then haul at Mario's party, dealing massive damage each. This little ass even shakes the stage and purposefully drops hazards on itself to drop even more bumps. Players have to be strategic with this one. Hit hard and as infrequently as possible. When I eventually emerged triumphant, Wacka rewarded me with a golden Whack-a-Bump, which honestly gave me visions of Hestu's gift from Breath of the Wild. I don't know if ending sequences are as touching to others, or if I'm just a big sensitive crybaby. Yes, I am. But Thousand Year Door's ending is so beautiful. The Shadow Queen fight absolutely wowed me, and the scene of the crystal stars carrying the voices of encouragement to Mario was even more gorgeous than ever. Tears pricked at my eyes as the party bid farewell to Mario and Peach as they sailed away from Rogueport back to the Mushroom Kingdom. The end credits, now styled in the form of the ending of a theater play, is a massive improvement to the original all around. Just like the first time I beat the original Paper Mario Thousand Year Door game in 2004 on GameCube, I felt a formative memory emerge in my mind at the beauty of reliving the nostalgia of my favorite video game of all time. There was one thing I pronounced to the heavens the day the Thousand Year Door remake was announced. I promised to be satisfied, as long as nothing was cut. As long as nothing was cut out, I'd be happy, even if nothing new was added. That was my only stipulation. And hey, I got everything I asked for and more.